I'm going to give you a profile of Bookie Radley-Hiles from a now dead OU sports website. And I'm pissed about that. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Today I'm going to give you the best Radley-Hiles profile that I've read since he became a Sooner. But first, some news you need to know. Earlier this morning, Cox Media Group shuttered Land of 10, SEC Country, and Diehards. These were some really cool sports verticals Cox Media Group started up and just let those folks run them. They put out breaking news, they covered interesting topics, and they were hiring. And from the outside, they were making money. If you read as much OU football news as I do, you stalk diehards.com/Oklahoma, where lead writer John Shin did some fantastic work, including this profile I'm going to read for you now. For 6 weeks, Oklahoma staged a quarterback competition. Usually that gobbles up most of the limelight when it comes to new starters. Surprisingly, the duel between Kyler Murray and Austin Kendall did not accumulate all the spring headlines. It was a freshman early enrollee who grabbed the limelight. Safety Radley-Hiles exited the spring as the Sooners' breakout player. Maybe it was his nickname, Bookie, or that he's only 5'9", that made him stand out amongst the Giants. Coaches and teammates spent the spring raving about the 187-pound ball of energy who stood from the first practice through the last one. I don't know what Bookie's potential can be, I can just tell he's a football player, defensive backs coach Kerry Cook said after the spring game on April 14th. And Saturday, hopefully, gave you guys a glimpse of what we've been seeing since he's been here. Everything happens easy for him. He's patient, he's calm, he just kind of understands where the ball is going to be and how to get there and make plays. He is just one of those guys that has a knack for putting himself into position to make plays. It's been close to a decade since Oklahoma had a defensive player who's garnered this kind of buzz. The program spent the early part of the 21st century piling up national award winners on that side of the ball. Slowly that decreased. There have been All-Americans from time to time, but the Sooners' transcendent players have been largely on the offense the last decade. Many within the program believe Radley-Hiles is different because of his talent and the options he gives Oklahoma. He's versatile, Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley said. He can bounce around quite a bit right now. Radley-Hiles draws comparisons with Oklahoma's last transcendent defender. It's hard to believe it's been 16 years since Roy Williams played his final game at Oklahoma. The 2001 Jim Thorpe Award winner departed for the NFL after his junior season. Had he returned for 2002, Williams would have been a Heisman Trophy contender. His talent was that highly thought of. The reason why was because he could play multiple positions and dominate at each one. Williams played the strong safety spot in the Sooners' 4-3 alignment. But he was a terror when Oklahoma went to its 5 defensive back alignment and he moved to the nickel spot. Williams' talent enabled him to be quick, fast, and smart enough to play deep safety. He was also strong enough to play at the line of scrimmage. His skill set enabled him to register big interceptions along with monster sacks. That nickel position has changed over the years. When Williams played it, 3 receiver offensive personnel groups were used, but 4 was a sign of desperation. Big 12 quarterbacks took a healthy chunk of their snaps under center and called plays from a huddle. The nickel spot is thought of as much as a cornerback than anything else. Radley-Hiles' skills line up with how the game has changed in the last 15 years. He showed during the spring that he can make one-on-one tackles on running backs at the line of scrimmage. The coaching staff loved the way he could time up blitzes and got to the quarterback. In coverage, well, Radley-Hiles was one of the top cornerbacks in the 2018 class for a reason. It's never hard for him. He makes the game look easy. For a young player of this magnitude at this level, you don't see it very often, defensive coordinator Mike Stoops said. You know, he's beyond his years in a lot of different ways. But I just love his competitive nature, his attitude, his willingness to be coached and learn and be a factor. He's a competitive guy. Hopefully, it rubs off on all of our players. It's also interesting that his uniform number is 44. It's the same jersey worn by another iconic Sooner defensive player, legendary All-America linebacker Brian Bosworth. How good can Radley-Hiles be at Oklahoma? Williams is not the bar for Oklahoma defenders. He's the summit. About a dozen defensive players have earned All-American status, and some have been NFL first-round draft picks since Williams' last game with the Sooners. But he's remained the gold standard among defensive players since the 2000 season. No one has eclipsed the impact he had. Players that could sack the quarterback and break up a pass 45 yards downfield on consecutive plays are rare. About a dozen different players have tried to fill the nickel spot since Williams. No one came close to having Williams' impact. Radley-Hiles' ascension to the peak Williams set begins in September. all believe he's ready to climb. The most impressive thing is he's relentless, cornerback Parnell Motley said. You know how a young freshman comes in, a little iffy about things, coming to the field not playing to their full potential? Well, Bookie comes to the field with his full potential ready to work like he's still in high school, in fighting position, and being the best he can be. Alright, that's it for me. Deuces.